What's up? Welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacTheMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and today we're going to talk about The Ascent. We're going to ascend into a movie review on The Ascend. Feel yourself rising? Do you feel anyway? This movie's at South by Southwest, and subscribe because I always have some dumb joke at the beginning. And I, of course, when this came across my path, I saw that there was a disability involved in the documentary and felt like, well, of course, I must. So, the way that it was kind of described, even in the description, admittedly, there was a little bit of like but her history, her story. Um, I definitely thought I was going to get like free solo, but for uh, amputees. You know what I'm saying? Like I thought that was going to be the documentary that was going to be primarily climbing. It's not. It's primarily Mandy's hunting story, um, and less about the actual journey itself, the perilous climb of Kilimanjaro. It just, the balance is not 50-50. It leans more into the true crime nature of how Mandy became a bilateral amputee. So, not saying that it doesn't make for a great movie. It's just if you were looking for a climbing movie, this would not be quite the same thing as some other climbing movies that have already existed, which is fine when you think about the fact that there are other climbing movies. So it's like if you can make yourself different and distinct, but then again, perhaps what makes this documentary different and distinct is Mandy to begin with. So her story, how she does things, focusing in on that. To point out, I did not watch this with audio description. It did not run South by Southwest with audio description. In talking with the rep about my screener, it was they didn't have any audio description yet. So we're going to be optimistic that the yet means that there are plans to acquire audio description. Um, Generally, with films that are disability centric, I find that they usually do already have audio description. It feels always like they're a little bit more in tune to the thing from the get go. I'm still waiting for a certain documentary that debuted at Sundance, but never has not come my way yet. That was disability centric that I know had audio description. So and didn't have distribution. But I I mean, it turns into a lot of it is a true crime story. It feels a little bit almost like it's kind of creepy. I was a little like unnerved and my my skin was crawling a little bit because of just the sort of unsolved mysteries nature of her actual or her origin story, kind of how she became a bilateral amputee is sort of horrifying. At the same time, it's kind of a mic drop moment when people are talking about like, well, how did you get here? Well, I feel like Mandy walks into a room and tells her story, and everybody else just goes, never mind, you win. I don't want to tell her story because by far the reason you should watch The Ascent. But I would caution you if you were thinking, oh my God, The Ascent is going to be a warm, uplifting journey for me to take. That is going to be life affirming. And it also might terrify you. Like, two things can be true. It can be life affirming and terrifying at the same time. And I found that really interesting combination within The Ascent. So it's it's interesting for Mandy to be working as hard as she is to climb Kilimanjaro and to be making that her thing and to be getting out there and doing things. I didn't realize she was as young as she was. Uh, I just feel so old sometimes. I thought she was at least in like my age range, like 10 years younger than I am. But, and then of course all this stuff happened to her and she's up there climbing Kilimanjaro. Kind of makes you like, what are you doing with your life? I'm sitting here, man. I don't, I don't know. I'm not climbing Kilimanjaro. Um, so yes, it has all of the vibes it needs to have to be a triumph of the human spirit documentary, but it also has this other side of it where it's like if you for some reason had a very active bladder and got up during like specific moments of the film, you would think you were watching like an episode of Unsolved Mysteries. Like it's kind of creepy. It feels like or like I mean, I remember when 2020 used to be like a news magazine and now they feel like they're all just kind of report these kinds of stories. So, it's that kind of vibe to it where it's like, "Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my Jesus." Like where you just keep reacting to things, you're just like, "Oh, that's shocking. That's horrifying." It does a good job of supporting its case though, in having other people come in and look at it and be like, why is it this way? Why was it left this way? Why wasn't it investigated? This is too weird. This is too strange. This stands out to me. You know, some career detective they have who was on the police force for like nearly 30 years, came in and took a look at the case and he's like, yeah, well, this stands out to me as being odd that that this type of procedure didn't occur. Um, Low key blaming the police detectives at the time for doing a really shitty job of investigating what happened to Mandy. um, and just making assumptions about it. And then like you get into like the actual like train conductor and like his whole part of the story and I was just like, what? What? Uh, like he's like seeing stuff off in the woods, and anyway, I was uncomfortable. It's not a bad thing. Um, it's just it's funny because with the Ascent, you're like, ooh, so it's free solo, right? That's what we're getting here. We're getting like a free solo, but for amputees for the disabled community. Great. Looking forward to no, that's not what this is. It's a part of it. Absolutely. I'm not gonna say that that part does not exist here, but it's it leans more the other way. It does. It really does lean more the other way. I think I didn't actually have like like stopwatch timers to be like, okay, so how long are we spending on this part? How long are we spending on this part? I'm gonna guess it leans more 50% in the direction of the sort of the true crime element of Bandy's story than it does into the climbing. Even if it's like a 55-45 thing, I just think it does take up quite a bit of the thing. It is valid. It is intriguing. I can understand why anybody would want to focus on it. However, it'll give you a completely different vibe than necessarily showing up for your typical mountain climbing documentary. So I did like The Ascent. I'm kind of also giving it benefit of the doubt that it will at some point put audio description on itself. Um, Sort of like the boyfriend who's like, I'm going to marry you. And you're like, what? You are? When? I'm gonna get a ring. I promise. I'm going to get the ring. And you're like, oh my God, he's gonna get a ring. So you spend you're like, he said he was going to. He's going to. I just know he's going to. I just know he's going to. And for so many people, they do. They get a ring. For a few people, they never get that ring. So I'm going to be optimistic and I'm going to say my boyfriend's getting me a ring. And it's called audio description on the Ascent. That's what's going to happen. So I want to give this film early buzz or whatever and not wait for that to happen, um, and push this out there into the world, because it is. I was I had an experience with this. I don't know if it was it definitely was not the experience that I was thinking I was going to have, but it's not going to get an Oscar nomination. That's for sure. This type of thing does not get Oscar nominations. This type of thing gets acquired by Netflix. That's what this type of thing. This type of thing ends up on Netflix, or on Hulu. They've had some sort of true crime-ish documentary type style things. This film should have absolutely no problem acquiring distribution. Um, but I don't know if it has. I would imagine if Netflix has had an opportunity to see this movie, they're gonna be like, yes, this is our brand. This is what we love to show. So I'm gonna give the Ascent. I'm gonna give it an 8.2 out of 10. I did like the documentary. Will there be stronger documentaries this year? Sure, there will be. There's going to be some documentary that takes me into a country that is war torn, and there are kids running around the street without parents and they're being killed. And I'm not ready for that one yet. I don't know what that is, but I feel like every year there's a documentary that just is like, and here's life somewhere that you didn't know about, and it's terrible. You can cry now. And that documentary will come, it will happen. Or just things that will naturally horrify you. The Perfect Neighbor made me angry and horrified, and Alabama Solution made me angry and horrified. But then you get stuff like 20 Days of Mariupol, 2000 Meters to Andrika. I mean, uh, Northern Land. I mean, you get documentaries like that, and you're just like, well, fuck. So, and then I just get these life affirming things like Come See Me in the Good Light too. So it's always a mix every season, and The Ascent is intriguing. I am intrigued. My interest is piqued, and I think you should check it out. So thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the other side.